What is unza in English?
Our Father.
Unzata.
Continue with Chumash for Tuesday on page 26 in Chayenu.
Chumash?
Yeah, Chumash. Daily synopsis: God will explain why placing some of the blood of an animal offering on the altar was an integral part of the sacrificial ritual, and it's therefore forbidden for consumption. That's why blood is for the altar. It's not for humans to eat. God then instructed Moshe regarding the laws governing forbidden relations. God prefaced these laws by stating that their purpose is to enhance the Jewish people's lives and to refine them so they can be admitted into the afterlife. Most of the forbidden relations are prohibited on account of being incestuous. Okay. Ches, verse 8. Baleim Temar, you should say to them further, Ishish Beis Yisrael Minager Asher Gabasecham, any man of the house of Israel or among the converts who live among them, Ashialo Elezavach, who will bring up a burnt offering or any other sacrifice. Rashi Ashayalo Ela. So this verse is written to render liable somebody who burns limbs of a sacrifice outside. Because if one slaughtered animal outside and another offered it up, both are liable. Because we're talking about slaughtering it outside the temple area.
You can't do.
Right. Tess. Piel Pesach made lo yivienu. And to the entrance to the tent of meeting, he does not bring it. Hashem, to make it for God. So he's not bringing it, he's doing it outside. Then that man will be cut off from his people. Nicholas means his offspring will be cut off and his own days will be cut off. His family will pass away young.
Why?
Yeah. All right. Yud. V'ish ish beis Yisrael. Any man in the house of Israel minager gabusecham, and from the converts that live among them, asher yechol kol adam, who eats any blood, I will turn my attention to the person who eats blood and cut him off. I'll cut him off from amongst his people. Rashi. Kol dam. Fisha Nemar, since it says Banefesh Chaper, for blood atones through the life force, I might have thought that it's only liable for the blood of sanctified animals. Tamulim or Kol dams. It comes to teach you any blood. Any blood. So why is that any blood? Can I get the door for them? I can guess maybe. Because till now we were talking about sanctified animals. Like I'm designating this animal to be a carbon, a sacrifice, which the animals now consider the holy animal we're talking about, right? We're saying you can't slaughter it outside the zone. What about you drink blood of a regular farm animal that wasn't sanctified? That's what the word kol, any blood, including not just what we're talking about, the sanctified animals, even mundane animals. Nasati fanai, I'll turn my face. Pnai shali, my face.
I'm learning in the library. Who came in? One second.
I'll turn my face. Face means my attention. I'll basically focus on this person to punish them, to give them the karis punishment. Page 28, verse Yud Aleph 11. Ki nefesh habasar badam. Why is blood not allowed? Because the life force of the body is in the blood. We talked about that, right? That the blood is the medium of how the soul, vivifies the body. And I therefore give to you on the altar to make atonement for your lives. And that's why the blood is purpose is to atone for your lives. Ki adam hu banefesh yechaper, for blood atones to the life force that is in it.
Rabbi.
Yeah.
8289, 820-8289 is Rabbi Munchkin.
820-8298.
8
820-8298.
8298. Yeah. 8298. 82. 81098. Yeah, that's what
So he says the life force of the body of every creature is dependent on its blood. Therefore, I have given it to you to atone for a person's life. I have given it to atone for a person's life.
Sorry.
1 second. So basically saying blood is sacrosanct.
What?
It's holy. It's
Sacrosanct?
I'm sure things.
Do you know what they just said?
Holy.
Holy.
Good.
So is that it is something which is the vehicle for the soul to manifest in the body. And therefore I'm designating the blood of animals for, when it's brought as a sacrifice, it goes on the altar to make an atonement for your blood, for your life that's housed in the blood.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore you can't eat it. Yud Beis. Therefore, I said to the children of Israel, no person among you should eat blood. And any convert among you should not eat blood. Rashi, Kol Nefesh Mikem. You just said that already. You said before that no one can have blood. We said in Pasuk Yud, any man of the house of Israel, right? Who eats blood, we punished. So why is it saying again? I take it back. I'm sorry. That's not. That was on the. It should have said nefesh mikem, a person of you. Why does it say any nefesh? That includes even children. That the adults have to make sure the children don't eat blood. I believe there's only 3 places in the Torah where there's a extra word to say that you can't that the adult is responsible for the child. And here's one thing by the Kohanim. Emor is going to say that the Kohanim should make sure the little Kohanim shouldn't get impure by dead bodies, and somewhere else. I'm not sure. The point is, this is one of those places. Yud Gimel. Any man amongst the children of Israel, and from the converts among them, who catches wild animal, game, or a bird, which may be eaten. He shall let its blood spill and cover it with dust. Asher Yatzod, any man of the children of Israel who catches wild animals, like a deer, kosher wild animal. So Rashi says Yatzod. Why are you giving the example of hunting and catching? What about Because it said here birds or wild animals, non-domesticated animals. So why give the example of you get them by catch them by hunting or whatever, by game? What about domestic birds like geese and fowl? We're going to talk about the law in a second about the finish thing. You basically have to cover the blood when it's slaughtered with dust. So why give an example of hunting? What about regular thing you're breeding? If you're breeding geese, breeding chickens, you have to cover their blood as well with the dust. Kisri hadam, the covering of the blood with dust. So it says the extra word seid mikal mokim. In fact, it's a double expression. Whoever catches a catch, matchmaker. One who catches a catches game. In fact, it's a double is including even domesticated. Then why bring the whole problem? Don't give the example of catching game or hunting. Just say these type of animals. Like give me an example. You got it from hunting. Like we said, it's not limited to that. So it says to tell you etiquette. That it's telling you etiquette, correct behavior. That don't eat meat at all times, just on a special occasion. You caught something or whatever, right? Nowadays we don't have that limitation because of our weaker disposition. But in the days of the Gemara, it was don't overeat meat. That's why it's telling you in that way. Like it happens to be a special opportunity, okay, but to breed it, don't go crazy. Asher yachel, which may be eaten, this excludes impure animals. A bird which may be eaten.
You can cover the blood with anything, right? Not just dust.
Dust or sawed chips. Yeah, I don't know, anything. It has to be something like dust. Ash, I think, might be allowed.
So like leaves or something?
I don't think so. Maybe, I'm not sure. I don't think so. This excludes impure animals. Impure animals don't when they're slaughtered, not to eat, but then to use their leather, you don't have to cover the blood. Okay. Yudalid, again, because, and I repeat, in regard to the life of any creature, its blood represents its life force. The life of any creature, its blood is its life force. And I have therefore said the children of Israel, you must not eat the blood of any creature. For the life force of any creature is its blood. The life force of every creature is its blood or in its blood. Whoever eats it shall be cut off. Why are you covering the blood of this animal, the bird or the wild, the non-domesticated kosher animal? Because the blood is in the place of its soul, meaning the blood represents the soul, because it's the physical part of the body that is the first, energy to the rest of the body. Something like that. And because you have no blood, you can't live. So that's why it becomes the symbol, I guess, of the soul.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the idea here? That the soul belongs to God and not to us?
No. I don't think so.
Well, why not eat it then?
Because it's a life.
Well, okay, that's just begging the question. It's the life, but so is the meat.
Two different things.
Well, I know that's what I'm trying to get at.
Let's see what here. I think what it's saying is blood it represents the soul more than any other part of the body. Maybe the brain, putting the brain aside, I'm not sure about that. But the blood, in a way, represents the soul more than any other part of the body. Why? Because the blood, if there's no blood, there's no way the soul can vivify the body. Right? No blood, no life force. So the blood now becomes the representative of the soul. And obviously the soul, so why do we care of the soul so much? That's a good question. Why? Okay, go eat your soul. I don't know.
No, soul
Go eat the soul.
What happens if the soul leaves?
That's why I asked.
What happens if the soul leaves?
The soul.
Well, then the blood stops pumping.
Then the body dies.
Right. So his question is, what's so? He's just questioning a basic question of.
No, it's a good question, but it's because
I would imagine that it's respect for life. The soul being, the mysterious elixir of life that comes from the great unknown. Like, you have respect for it. I mean, you want to say it's a part of God. I mean, it's another way of saying it, but like, does it make sense that we should treat the soul as sacrosanct and not like as much as we can, even though we're allowed to eat meat? Shouldn't we have a limitation on, the God? As you say, the God part of the meat.
Can you come up with
that was my question.
That's what I would think.
Is it because it represents God and the blood is?
It doesn't say why.
It
does. It takes it. It takes it.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, we want to be more like specific to the language. In verse 11, it gave the reason why. Look at verse 11. I mean, so what you said is what I would think in common sense, like soul, part of God, respect it. So therefore, don't touch the blood, which is the representative of the soul, which might be true. But if you look in the literal verse 11, Yudalef, for the life force of the body is in the blood. I mean, the blood is the representative, and the symbol houses the life force, the soul.
Mm-hmm.
And I've given it, what's the reason? I've given it to you to make atonement on the altar. And therefore, that's it. That's what it's for.
Yeah, so it's for God, basically.
But that's two separate things. You said earlier is more common sense, like respect the soul.
My question was whether it's for God.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
And number 11 says basically that it is.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Okay, fine. It's for God, or it's to make atonement. Yeah, I mean, it didn't say for God. It says to make atonement for you. To get very
the altar
annoyingly.
If it's on the altar, it's for God.
I guess that's true. Yeah. But it said that. But it said why? To make an atonement for you.
Yeah.
Why is it for God? It's for you. If you want to get really like nitty, if you want to get like.
But you're offering it to God on the altar.
Right.
That's
right. That's the
you
fact.
Get your atonement by putting this offer on the altar.
Right. By giving God what is His.
Right.
Or everything's God's, but I guess the crux of it.
Yep.
Okay.
Scott.
Right.
Says in the next Rashi, since the life force of any creature is in its blood, the nefesh is the blood. Again, as you said earlier, dam ubasar is masculine. Nefesh is nekeva. That's why he is feminine. It is in feminine tense because nefesh is a feminine noun. So when you're saying the soul, the feminine soul, she is in the blood. So that's why it says she. Okay. Any person that eats, whether it's a native or a convert, they eat either nevela, which is unslaughtered carcass of animal, or treifa, fatally wounded animal that's going to die on its own at a certain point. You eat it, if you slaughter it, but you eat it, it would have died. Then you have to go to mikvah, you have to wash your hands in water, but in mikvah you're impure till the evening, and then you are pure. Rashi, who eats an unslaughtered carcass or a fatally mauled animal. Here we're talking, so it's not about kosher, not kosher. It's about that if you eat it, you become impure. So the truth, it says, it's actually a very specific case. It is by the carcass of a kosher bird. It wasn't slaughtered. It was, electrocuted. I don't know. That you, that you become tamei when you swallow it. Right. So it's talking about bird base. If you eat the bird, then you come tamei when it's in your throat. This tells you that a bird's carcass does not render you impure unless you eat it. Versus, by the way, we said the carcass of an animal, by touching it, you do become tamei. But a bird, it's by eating it. And treifa.
So you can touch a dead carcass of a bird?
Yeah, it sounds like it, yeah. Treifa, that's said here, is not written except to expound, as we've learned in Teres Kainim, that it should be that you might have thought that the carcass of an impure bird, also when you eat it, if you eat a chicken McNugget sandwich, no, I'm sorry, that's not true. If tam would be a not chicken, it would be a like a raven, eat a bird, a crow. Maybe that makes you tamei when you eat it. Tells you treifa. So the truth is, treifa, I don't think, the way I understand is, if you ate a treifa bird, what's treifa bird? The technical term, the jargon, a chicken that had its lung punctured or whatever is going to die, and you slaughter before it dies, that's still a not kosher bird. It's not edible. You're not allowed to eat it.
Can't eat it.
Because it was fatally wounded before you slaughtered it, even though you slaughtered it. I don't think if you eat such a bird, you become tamei. Okay?
Okay.
However, why mentioning here then? To tell you, it qualifies what type of carcass, nevela bird, you become tamei when you swallow it. Not a unkosher bird like a raven or a crow or a vulture. That meat, it's not kosher, but it doesn't make you impure. It would have to be a carcass of a chicken, of a kosher species. All right, Tazayin. If you don't wash and don't go to mikvah, then he will bear the consequences of his transgression if he goes to the Temple Mount. Nasavoine means if he eats holy food or he enters the Temple Mount area, then he's guilty for the impurity that he brings there. He goes with. He says, by the way, you only get karis, this harsh punishment, if you're impure and you go in the Temple Mount. But if you didn't put your clothes in the mikvah, then you would only get malchus, lashes. All right, Parayut Ches. How much longer? Okay. Vaydabish al Meshlem Hashem says the Mesh saying, pass the tissues, please. Mike, tissue. Tissue box. All right. Going on. So Hashem is what the Moshe is saying. Verse base, page 31. I'm speaking to the children of Israel. You should say to them, Ani Hashem your God. Rashi, Ani Hashem your God. Anihu shamarti b'sinei onech Hashem lekecha v'kibaltem alechem malchusi mi'ata kiblu gzerisei. He's God's prefacing it. Look, I am God, the Anochi that that you accepted as king by Mount Sinai. So I'm going to tell you some decrees. It might be hard. You still got to do them. Rabbi said, Rabbi knew that in the time after the destruction of the first temple, when the Jews were in exile, they would all relapse into forbidden relations.
Oi.
Yeah. So, therefore, the Torah says, Ani Yeshem Lekechem, Du'umi geizer aleichem dain li par v'nem l'sham sacher. Be aware that who I am, giving you this decree that I'm a judge that can punish, but I can also reward. In other words, I guess Elokim and Hashem is judge, is Elokim. Hashem is the God who rewards. God knew how hard this would be to sustain. As we see, the Jews relapsed into forbidden sexual relations in the times of Ezra. So Hashem, therefore, adds the kind of the bold statement that, like, nonetheless, control yourself, because I am the God who can punish or reward. Gimel, Kemai says, these relations were the practices of the Egyptians that you dwelled there. You can't do it. You can't do what they do. They were very depraved. You can't do it. Kemai says, and this is also the act, the behavior of the Canaan, the land of the Canaan, Asher Ani. Maybe as I'm bringing you there, do not do. And their customs you must not follow it. Rashi says this was the practice of Egypt. So it singles out these two nations, the Egyptians and the Canaanim. This implies the behaviors of the Mitzrayim and the Canaanim were more depraved than anybody else. And where the Jews were lived in Egypt, I guess, was like Las Vegas or something, you know, or it's most corrupt anywhere else.
Whoa.
I'm sorry. They argue. Some say it's Canaan was the worst of the world in depravity. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fine. So it's funny how Israel became the most. Canaan, which was Israel, became the most before the Jews got it. Was the most morally corrupt place. And in their ways you shall not follow. Their customs you not follow. What is it talking about? What is the Torah leaving unmentioned that needs to add this prohibition? Like you just said, don't do this bad relations. So it's actually saying other things, not about relations, referring to don't follow their culture. Don't do the pagan culture of theaters and stadiums. Interesting, in footnote 102, it says it refers to bull rings, stadiums of bull rings or gladiator stuff, you know. Interesting. Meir says, this is a note. This refers to the Amorite ways, which was very superstitious, like omens and stuff that the rabbis enumerated. Like, they'd give a black cat, type of thing. My laws and my statutes, you shall adhere to them. I am your God. As mishpate tasu, you must carry my laws. These are the things in the Torah regarding justice. For if they were not said, they were fitting to say them. Sorry. So, civil laws, be careful to the Torah's civil laws. As keep my decrees. These are things that are decrees. They're not necessarily logical. But the Yetzer Hara comes and tells you, what are you doing these, not doing shatnez and kosher? They're not logical. And the nations also, make fun of you, saying, what are you doing eating pig and saying that? Why are you not eating pig? It's delicious pork. Why don't you why don't you wear shatnez? And why do you have the purification of the purifying waters, the red heifer? Therefore, Hashem is Ani Hashem, by the decrees. This is God's decrees. Don't question.
Amen.
You're not exempt because you don't understand them, and you should do them. The decree is due to go in them. I mean, to go in them. You're never free to not do them. And so don't free yourself from their environment. You should not say, I've acquired Jewish wisdom, I'll now go acquire the wisdom of the nations. Oh, okay. What's the connection though? It already said you have to do the decrees. So what's it saying, keep the decrees. So what's it saying? Go in them. So the Maral of Prague beautifully says you have to go deeper and deeper into them. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I know the mitzvahs. I know what it says in Shulchan Aruch. I'm good. I'll go read Shakespeare now.
Mm-hmm.
You are required to go deeper and deeper and deeper into them. And therefore you can never have time to go study other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Unless, of course, for a job, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But someone says, I know what the rabbis say in the Talmud. I'm going to go learn some, Socrates or something.
Mm-mm.
There's very big qualification. I mean, maybe if it's in order so you can give a class to compare and contrast, but if your own trying to find wisdom for the sake of the wisdom, understand there is times you're allowed to study secular wisdom for a job, to understand parts of Torah and math, let's say. But to say that because they have a wisdom that is on par with the Torah, you can't go seek that out. Next Rashi. You should guard my statutes and my decrees, my laws. Keep them, to do them, and therefore you will live by them. Ani Hashem, I am Hashem your God. You should keep my statutes. This includes, we said this already, what's including? This includes the details of this section that Torah does not state explicitly. Meaning the stuff the rabbis derived from this. This is some things that are derived in the next, the forbidden relations that are not explicit. Another explanation is litain shmir asiyah lachukim, shmir asiyah l'mishpatim, lavish lenasan ela asiyah l'mishpatim, shmir lachukim. It's very interesting. The verbs by the type of mitzvahs are very specific. Do said before, do the civil laws, right? Do the civil laws and what? And guard the decrees. So why does he use the language there? So he says in the bottom, in footnote 109, doing is practical application. Guarding refers to the study. Like, be ready. Prepare yourself. It only said doing the civil laws and guard yourself for the decrees. So now it repeats itself. You gotta study and prepare for both, and you gotta do and practical for both. L'chai behem, the person will do them and live by them. So this is very interesting. It doesn't mean live in the physical sense. It means live in the eternal life when you do these mitzvahs. Because if you do the mitzvahs that you'll live in this world, you're not going to live forever. Which is seems very simplistic. Like, what do you mean? Why can't it be? Do the mitzvahs so you'll live, right? You'll live a good long life.
Mm-hmm.
No, because you're going to die, so it can't mean. The living has to mean in Olam Haba, in the next world. So it says in 110, it's very, I'm sure there's other ways to look at it, but he says, like, because if you're doing them, let's say it means you'll do the mitzvahs to live in this world, right? What happens if you do the mitzvah when you're old or the day before you die? Where's the reward there? So it must mean the reward must live. It says any mitzvah, if you do a minute before a person passes away. So it must mean the living must be the living in the afterlife.
Why have trouble?
I'm not even playing this trouble. I just think yeah. Okay, moving on. Moving along. Ani Hashem, I am Hashem who is trustworthy to pay reward. Vav. Now we say the mitzvahs that are the forbidden relations. Ish is called every man may not approach any of his close relatives to uncover their nakedness through intimate relations. Ani Hashem, I am Hashem your God. I am Hashem. This comes to apply a prohibition to women like men, and that's why I say in the plural. Use people shouldn't get close to your relatives. That implies men and women. I am Hashem. I am trustworthy to pay reward. Okay. Zion. The nakedness of your father, the nakedness of your mother, you should not uncover. She's your mother. You must not uncover her nakedness. Rashi. Your father's nakedness. This is the wife of your. So the nakedness of your father's mean literally father. It means your father's wife, even if she's not your mother. Maybe it means literally you can't have relations with a father. So it says here, Eres Avicha, Eres Aviv Gila. It says here the nakedness of your father, nakedness, and it says later the nakedness of your father. Just like there, the context was clearly the father's wife, so here's the father's wife, meaning your stepmother. Eres Imcha, nor your mother. This includes your mother, even if she's not married to your father. Right? Wedlock or whatever. The nakedness of your father's wife do not uncover. It's your father. Do not uncover your father's nakedness. Rashi, why you're repeating it? This includes even after his death. Your stepmother is forbidden, always forbidden to the son. The nakedness of your sister, the daughter of your father, or the daughter of your mother. She is moledus bias. Whether she's born in a legitimate marriage, or even less, she's born in a outside union, in a illegitimate marriage. You do not expose their nakedness of these half sisters, sister or half sister. This includes bas avicha, av bas anusim mashma. Why is it the daughter? It's your sister, because sister is from a family unit. Here, the father raped somebody and has a daughter or out of wedlock. Also, she's forbidden to her biological half-brother or half-brother. She's born at home or born outside. I mean, whether we say the father, why is the term legitimate inside? Whether we say kamasima, whether it's a type of marriage where they say keep the mother, I mean, you can stay married. That's a house birth. It's allowed to stay as a house, as a household. Well, they tell the father, no, that relation that you had, that was illegitimate. You have to divorce her or get rid of it. That's for example, if the father had a relation with a mamzeres or a nesina or whatever, any person. Okay, Yud. Ervas bas pinche bas pinche leiskar basam. The nakedness of the daughter of your son or the daughter of your daughter, your granddaughter, you should not expose. For they are like your own nakedness, says Rashi. Ervas bas pincha. Here we're talking his daughter that we just mentioned from a daughter from a woman that was raped by the father, by the person. That's why we're saying it here, because the daughter and daughter's daughter, we know that from elsewhere. We know from where it says there in verse 17, a woman and her daughter you cannot expose, you can't lie with. Whether the daughter is from him, whether it's from another man. So we already know about a daughter. From another verse here is talking specifically by a woman that was raped by a person that he cannot marry the daughter. Be with the daughter. Yud Aleph. Eres bas you must not uncover the nakedness of your father's wife's sister. She is your sister. The nakedness of the daughter of your father's wife is a half sister born from your father. She's your sister. She's your sister. You do not expose her. I skipped Rashi. The nakedness of your son's daughter. Kal v'chemer to your own daughter, because we don't. So we might have we deduce by A4TRA about kal v'chomer. You can't. It says you can't be with your granddaughter and for sure your daughter not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but you can't punish somebody from a kal v'chomer. Therefore, we have to learn it. Therefore, we learn it from, as we said, from another place, another way. Gzeir Shava. Yud Aleph, the naked is your father's wife's daughter. This tells you that you're not chayiv, you're not guilty for relation to the sister born from a Kanani. His father married a non-Jewish woman or non-Jewish maidservant and had a daughter. Then you're not. Then you're. You shouldn't do that, but it's not forbidden. It's not considered. It's only if it's your father's allowed wife, right? Someone who's fitting to get kiddushin. That's a daughter, I mean, from a Jewish woman. Yud Beis. The naked of your father's sister not exposed. She's your father's close relative. The nakedness of your sister, of your mother, do not expose. For she is your mother's close relative. Rashi, Yudalit. The nakedness of your father's brother do not expose. To his wife, your aunt, your father's brother's wife, do not come close. She's your aunt. Rashi, what is the nakedness of your father's brother? To his wife. The nakedness of your daughter-in-law do not expose. For she is the wife of your son. Do not uncover nakedness. Rashi. She's the wife of your son's wife. This only includes when your son has a legal marriage with her. This would exclude a woman that was raped by your son or a Kanani maid or non-Jewish that converted later. Then then the father would be allowed to marry them because it was not a legitimate, a possible union.
What's okay? Can you explain that?
It's only excluding your son married this woman.
Mm-hmm.
But if he didn't marry her, and his relation was through rape.
Okay.
Or he was someone with a non-Jewish person, woman. So let's say that woman converts later. She can marry the father because it wasn't a legitimate union at the time. The nakedness of your brother's wife do not expose. For is your brother's nakedness. The nakedness of a woman and her daughter in the time of multiple marriages being allowed, you couldn't marry a mother and a daughter. Espas Bina, the daughter of her son, Espas Pita, the daughter of her daughter. Either Loisikach, you should not take Lakalas to expose their nakedness. She'ada, Hena, Zimahi, these are close relatives, woman, daughter, woman and granddaughter, to marry both. It would be a sinful scheme, says Rashi. Rashi Shbita. So it's only forbidden if you marry one of them. It says take. How similar punishment of a man marries a woman and her mother. It says the term take. Take means marriage. If someone, however, raped a woman, he is permitted to marry her daughter from another union. Sharahena, they're close relatives. They're related to each other. Sima is a plan. As English translates it as atzas chatin, a sinful scheme that your evil imagination advises you to sin. Woman with her sister do not take to make them rivals. It's very cruel to marry two sisters, and then we have this rivalry. It would be by uncovering one's nakedness in addition to the other one in her lifetime. Rashi, both you can't marry them at the same time. The tzura means an expression of rival. You can't make them rivals to each other. The chaya is only while she's alive. If a sister dies, then you could marry the other sister, or if she's divorced, you can marry. I'm sorry, if you divorce her, it says even if she's not your wife, you can't marry her sister while she's alive. If she dies, you could marry the other sister.
Mm-hmm.
You must not draw near to a woman during her separation period of impurity, menstrual cycle, to uncover nakedness. Chaf. You must not let yourself lie with your fellow man's wife for sexual relations, to become defiled through her. Says Rashi. Nothing. And new topic, you must not give over any of your descendants to pass them to the fire, to Molech idol. Do not defame the name of your God. I am Hashem. Rashi Molech was a type of idol worship called Molech, and they would the service was they would pass your son. You would hand over your son to the priests, and there'd be two large pyres of fire that are made, and the son would pass, kind of like giving him over through the walkway of fire, the pathway between the fire. Meaning you can't hand them over to the priest to give it to the Molech. That is